Hello everyone. Today I'll talk about a topic that is rarely mentioned or explained properly, and that is how international sporting federations like the ICC, the IOC, and World Athletics manage to properly and legally avoid paying taxes on their billions of dollars of global income. How they structure themselves, how they negotiate with governments and with event hosting countries. Okay. Number one, why is tax planning so important? Okay, now sports federations such as the ICC are unusual organizations. On the one hand, they present themselves as non-profit governing bodies that are responsible for developing and managing sports worldwide. On the other hand, they also generate enormous commercial revenues from ticketing, global broadcasting deals, sponsorship and licensing, by conducting billion-dollar events and by entering into huge commercial partnerships. The ICC, for example, earns the majority of its income from event media rights, which are tied to tournaments like the Cricket World Cup and the T20 World Cup. Now, because these revenues are global, tax exposures could and do arise in dozens of countries. Now, unless it is carefully managed, this is a huge risk. As a result, and because hundreds of millions of dollars are at stake, tax planning becomes an important strategic function at the start, at the outset. It is not just an afterthought. Secondly, choosing a tax-friendly home base. The first and most important step is where your federation is based. Where is it headquartered? For example, after considering a number of locations, the ICC moved its headquarters in 2005 from Europe to Dubai. Now, that is because Dubai has either no tax on sports or provides tax exemptions for certain significant entities. And the ICC is understood to operate under a long-term tax exemption of around 50 years, making it tax-free in Dubai until around 2055. Okay, this means that any ICC income that is booked in Dubai is not subject to tax in Dubai, which is a massive advantage for a body that is generating billions of dollars. Now consider the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, that is based in Lausanne, Switzerland, which is often called the Olympic capital. Now, Switzerland has a long-standing policy of granting favorable tax treatment to international sporting bodies, recognizing their prestige and global reach. And another example is the headquarters of FIFA, which are in Zurich. Obviously, both FIFA and the IOC are huge international organizations. The IOC even has permanent observer status at the UN. That's how huge it is. So to host the IOC is really a very, very significant and prestigious thing and cannot be taken lightly. Now, as a result, the IOC has special tax arrangements with the Swiss government. This also reinforces Switzerland's position as a hub for global sports governance. And Switzerland is also host to sports such as volleyball, gymnastics, fencing, cycling, and hockey, among others. Okay, another example is World Athletics, formerly the IAAF, which is headquartered in Monaco. Now, Monaco, of course, is seen as a land of the rich and famous, flowing with milk and honey, and often used as a backdrop for beautiful people and James Bond movies. But it is also a low tax or no tax country, and international sporting bodies that are based there benefit from tax exemptions, particularly when their activities are to do with sports development, such as ATP tennis. And by the way, Monaco considers athletics as such a prestigious sport that it has even provided free, wonderful headquarters to World Athletics. And Prince Albert is the honorary president of the International Athletics Foundation, which is the charitable arm of athletics. Okay, so both Switzerland and Monaco have actively positioned themselves as a home for international sports by offering political stability, regulatory certainty, and highly favorable tax treatment. And of course, from the fact that these are all wonderful places to be, obviously helps matters. Okay, and also, by the way, the ICC was also based in Monaco for a number of years before they moved to Dubai. Okay, so whether it's Dubai, Lausanne, or Monaco, the logic remains the same. You must, for a start, choose a location where local taxes either do not apply or can be favorably negotiated. Okay? All right, point number 3. Hosting major events. Now, even if a federation is tax exempt at home, tax problems can happen when it earns income in other countries, especially when it stages major events all over the world. Now, this is because the event hosting countries could impose local income taxes, withholding taxes, or other event-specific taxes such as custom duties on import of sports equipment and broadcasting equipment. Okay, so to prevent this, the ICC and the IOC make tax exemption a non-negotiable condition for hosting events. So if a country wants to host a Cricket World Cup or the Olympics or a World Championship, it must guarantee that the federation's event-related income will not be taxed. Now, this is normally achieved by the local government issuing tax exemptions, formal tax legislation. Plus, indemnities and guarantees are provided by the host board, for example, the English Cricket Board. And these commitments are written directly into the event hosting agreements, and so they are legally binding. For example, if England or Australia stages an ICC event, the ECB or Cricket Australia must ensure that the ICC does not suffer any taxes, either by securing tax exemptions from their government or by compensating the ICC for any taxes that the ICC may suffer. The IOC operates in the same way. Olympic host nations have to pass special tax laws covering all IOC income and sometimes even income that is earned by Olympic partners. Okay, in short, if there is no tax exemption, there will be no event in that country. It's as plain and simple as that. Point number 4. Now let's look at broadcast and sponsorship contracts on their own. Now, another powerful tool is contractual tax protection. Okay, so what does this mean? So when the ICC or the IOC signs a global broadcast or sponsorship deal, such as the ICC's broadcast contract with JioStar, that contract is structured on a net of tax basis. So what does that mean? It means that if the ICC signs a contract worth $100 million, then the ICC must receive $100 million in cash, not a dollar less. Any taxes, whether they are withholding taxes, local taxes, cross-border payment taxes, it doesn't matter. Those taxes are all borne by the broadcaster or the sponsor, not by the ICC. So these commercial contracts include tax gross-up clauses, tax indemnities, and explicitly allocate the tax risk away from the ICC. So this model ensures that the ICC's expected revenue is always protected, regardless of where the commercial partner is or how they pay the ICC. Point number 5. Now let's look at tax treaties and legal structures. Now, beyond tax exemptions and net of tax contracts, sports federations also benefit from double tax treaties between countries, legal categorization of income as royalties rather than as business profits, and centralized IP ownership. Broadcast rights, for example, are often treated as royalties, which under many double tax treaties attract zero withholding taxes. And then specially layered legal structures and special purpose companies can also ensure that the income flows to the tax-exempt headquarters, not to the high tax locations. Okay, now let's look at the non-profit argument. Now, perhaps the most powerful justification that is used by federations is that, look, we are non-profit. Any money we make or save is reinvested back into the development of the sport. So why are you trying to tax us? It's damaging sport. This argument is repeatedly used during tax negotiations. The federations claim that the tax money saved funds grassroots children sports program. The tax savings also support sports in developing or emerging countries who can't afford it on their own. And therefore, with tax exemptions, the global game benefits. And that is true. However, recently, there are arguments that the sheer scale of commercialization and the huge salaries and compensation that is earned by senior sports executives and team owners, as well as the players, blurs the line between non-profit governance and a profit-driven commercial enterprise. And a lot of people are beginning to argue that sports federations are not non-profit organizations, and therefore they must pay their fair share of taxes like any other commercial organization. Okay, so to summarize, international sporting bodies minimize global tax exposure through a combination of strategy and negotiation and leverage. They do this by choosing tax-exempt or tax-friendly headquarter locations. They require host country event tax exemptions or guarantees, and they structure commercial contracts on a net of tax basis. They also use tax treaties and play with legal definitions such as what is royalties and what is not. And they present themselves as non-profit custodians of sport. Okay, so remember that tax is not incidental in global sport. And because the amounts involved are huge, it is central to the business model and to the cash flow, and ultimately to what the sport has left over to spend on events, on facilities, and on sport development. Okay? Till next time.